TAEHYUNG finally speaks, but Jungkook's reaction leaves everyone confused. It's time I was honest. The words came out effortlessly, calm, soft, yet thunderous in the silence. The world heard them, but not everyone understood. Because when TAEHYUNG finally spoke, it wasn't his words that drew attention, but Jungkook's undeniably honest gaze. What really happened? Why was TAEHYUNG's expression so different from Jungkook's reaction? This question divided public opinion, disrupted the atmosphere, and ignited an unending storm of speculation. The 43-second video uploaded to HYB's official account seemed simple. A white background, a static camera, and a seemingly thinner TAEHYUNG sitting silently. He sighed before speaking. No intro, no background music. The words weren't scandalous, nor a confession of love. But precisely because they were too common and too honest, the public felt something was being hidden. I'm tired of waiting for the right time. So today, I choose not to hide anymore. Thank you for everything. No names were mentioned. No context. However, just 2 minutes after the video was uploaded, Jungkook appeared on his personal live stream, unplanned, unscripted. His face was pale, his eyes puffy, but he didn't say anything. He just sat silently for 7 minutes, staring at the screen. Fans noticed something unusual. His eyes were teary, but no tears fell. It wasn't crying. It wasn't shock. It was like someone who had just witnessed something they disagreed with, but couldn't refute. The silence shook the fandom. TAEHYUNG's confession and Jungkook's silent reaction became like two magnetic poles no longer aligned. Comments flooded social media. Something's not right. They're not talking about the same thing. Why does Jungkook look disappointed? Theories began to emerge. Not about romance or arguments, but something deeper. A difference in perspective on a major decision. A few hours later, BTS's largest fanbase account uploaded an old clip, a segment recorded 2 years ago in a documentary. In the clip, Jungkook said in a melancholic tone, "If one day I have to lose someone because of honesty, I hope it's not you." The sentence went viral again, now with a different context. The public connected it to TAEHYUNG's statement this morning. Was the honesty in question a resignation? A marriage? A solo project? Or something yet unrevealed? Then came information from a songwriter who had worked with both of them. He posted a short story, just one line. "Some honesty comes from coercion." This sentence was like throwing gasoline on an already burning fire. Speculation grew. Was TAEHYUNG forced to make that statement? Or conversely, did he decide something without involving Jungkook? More and more people concluded that the two might disagree on an important decision, and Jungkook's expression was the clearest evidence. Shortly after, a fan shared a photo claimed to be taken near the HYB studio. In the photo, Jungkook was seen standing alone in the back parking area, wearing a hoodie and sweatpants, staring blankly at the building. In his hand, there was a small pendant. Some fans believed it was the pendant he had worn in a special photo shoot with TAEHYUNG in 2022. The pendant had once been a symbol of their friendship and bond. However, what further confused the public was not only TAEHYUNG's statement or Jungkook's expression, but the lack of follow-up from both of them. No clarificación. No follow-up posts. Even the management staff remained silent. As if all parties chose to let the public interpret it themselves. One of the most touching comments came from a senior entertainment journalist, known to be close to the agency. He wrote, "They aren't fighting. They just chose different paths to the same truth." This sentence depicts the possibility that TAEHYUNG and Jungkook might not be disagreeing, but have different ways of facing reality. What made everything even more emotional was the fact that just 3 days earlier, both of them appeared at a private charity event. In photos shared by the committee, TAEHYUNG was seen hugging children with a gentle smile, while Jungkook seemed quieter and bowed his head a lot. There was no direct interaction between them, but in one photo, there was a moment when they glanced at each other, brief, yet holding so much meaning. Now, one big question keeps echoing. Is this the beginning of a separation? Or is it a form of maturity in facing differences? Fans are divided into two camps. Those who believe this is just part of each other's growth process, and those who feel there are unhealed wounds. What's certain is that TAEHYUNG has spoken. But Jungkook, with his eyes speaking louder than words, showed that not all confessions are met with acceptance. There's unspoken pain. There's an unfinished story, and amidst the roar of the world's reaction, perhaps the most heartbreaking is the silence of two people who used to be together in every important moment. Those who once laughed in the same rhythm now seem to walk on two different frequencies. Not drifting apart, but not waiting for each other either. The public may never know the whole truth. But one thing is certain, eyes never lie. And that day, Jungkook's eyes had said everything. Without sound, without words, but enough to make the world ask, what exactly did he see that we didn't? However, amidst the torrent of emotions and the flood of speculation surrounding this event, we must ask one important question. Is all of this real? Or are we becoming part of a meticulously crafted grand narrative to attract attention, build emotional connections, and ultimately sell a story? Keep in mind, the information that ignited this commotion comes mostly from social media like TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and fan-based communities. There are video clips, old clips, screenshots, and even faint viral audio recordings. But is there official verification? Is there direct confirmation from Taehyung or Jungkook about the true meaning of what happened? Unfortunately, not yet. And therein lies the danger of unverified information. Then, the question is, why do we so readily believe? Is it because we want to believe it? Or because we are used to accepting emotions as proof of truth? We see Jungkook's vacant eyes and conclude that he is hurt. We hear Taehyung say, "It's time I was honest," and immediately associate it with separation, with unspoken love. But isn't all of that interpretation not fact? Let's suppose. What if Taehyung's video was just part of a creative campaign? What if Jungkook's expression was an old recording cut and dropped at the right moment? And what if this whole story was deliberately constructed to create massive emotional engagement, increase traffic, and keep public attention focused on them? Are you sure this isn't just an entertainment industry strategy? Because we know, in an industry as large as K-pop, nothing is entirely coincidental. Every post, every live stream, every word spoken has often gone through layers of approval and planning. So it's natural to ask, are we celebrating honesty or being deceived by the packaging of emotions? And this doesn't mean we shouldn't feel. As humans, we are moved by narratives. But precisely because of that, we must be more cautious. Especially when we're talking about two global icons with millions of fans willing to formulate theories, edit videos, and even rewrite history based on a 43-second clip. Who is controlling this narrative? Who benefits from this ambiguity? It's time we ask deeper questions. Why is there no official clarification from the agency? Why are all the elements that appear so symbolic, emotional, and ambiguous? Is this really about the relationship between two individuals, or is there a larger commercial interest behind the scenes? We want to emphasize, once again, that the information we present comes from various sources that may not be entirely accountable. Some content comes from TikTok video clips without a clear origin, from Twitter threads with anonymous identities, or from fan YouTube channels that often construct narratives based on personal perceptions. Therefore, we invite you all to think critically. Don't swallow anything you read or watch raw. Don't let your feelings take over your reason. This isn't about who's right or who's wrong. It's about how we, as a digital society, learn to distinguish between fact and fiction, between reality and narrative. Let's ask ourselves these important questions. Do I believe because there is evidence, or just because I want to believe? Do I spread information because I'm sure, or just because I'm following the trend? Is it possible that this story was never real, but became real because of our collective belief? Truth requires more than just feelings. It requires diligence, skepticism, and sometimes the courage to admit that maybe we're being deceived by a story too beautiful not to believe. Thank you for following this report with an open mind. We don't ask you to believe everything we say. Instead, we encourage you to question it. Because in a world full of narratives and sensations, our only protection is reason. What do you think? Is all of this real? Or is this just part of a big game that we're all unknowingly participating in? Please leave your opinion in the comments section. Healthy discussion is part of the truth itself.